Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon with a hoarse voice, and this is the Breaking Free Show. And I am so delighted that you're here. And I must tell you, I don't think I've ever had so much fun in a pre-show show as I've just had. So you are in for a treat. But before we get on with my guests, I just want to welcome Amnon and say hi.
Hello, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you.
Good. You have done a great
It's
job
turn.
today,
It's
Amnon.
well, I've been at it now since what
Uh,
8:30. I'm
9 o'clock. I know you've been doing great. Amnon has been just rolling the shows out today, ain't you?
yeah. Well, Monday's a busy day. There's
Monday's a
show
busy
after show
day.
after show after
So I
show.
want to thank you
You
because
are
I've
most
had a
welcome.
big day with you today. Anyway, this is a very exciting show. Please feel free to call us at 919-518-9773, or you can come in on Skype voice, and that is computers 2K voice. Computers, that's plural, the number 2K voice. And you can come in our chat, just underneath our window there where you're seeing this video. Just put your name, nickname, whatever you like, and come in there, and you can ask questions. You can communicate with us, just have some fun with us. And here we go. So my guest today is very exciting, and I am going to have fun with him, and you're going to have fun with him. So let me introduce Phil Quinn to you today. He is a medium guide, and he is raring to go. Hey, Phil.
Hi, everybody. My name is Phil. I'm a medium here in Connecticut, and I have this wonderful opportunity to be on your show. We were just working out some technical difficulties before we got on here. So I want to say hi to everyone. I'm totally new to this. I'm not sure what to expect as far as this show goes, but I'm looking forward to it and to explain to you just a little what I do here in Connecticut and how my readings work with people. So I won't take over the show. I'll let Marilyn run it, but go right ahead.
Well, so Phil, let me just correct him for a second. So he might be new at doing shows, but he is not new to doing what he's doing because he's been doing it since he's like 6,
Yes, I have.
right?
So I've been professionally doing this for the last 22 years. I'm here in Connecticut. So I do the majority of my readings now are via Skype and or FaceTime because I do readings all around the world for people who can't travel here to Connecticut. And the majority of people come and contact me because they've had significant losses in their life, for either children, husbands, wives, whoever it is. So I deal with the other side. So the difference between a psychic and a medium is a psychic would be able to see future information, and they have to interpret that. A medium talks directly to the other side, so there's no interpretation for me, and I bring through the souls that you have lost. So they're the only two difference between a psychic and a medium. And any psychic information that I get comes directly from the other side about where you're going, what you're doing, jobs, whatever the situation may be. So the other side is able to still see your path. And then the last part, well, I'll just throw in is the life guide aspect of it is in my career, a lot of people come in because they're lost or they need help or they need guidance. And your family members, the people that you have coming through, will come through and they'll tell me what's happening in your life and what's the easiest way for you to get down your path.
So let me just clarify this. So they can see our path. Is that correct?
Yes, not only do
Okay.
they see your path, Marilyn, but they also see what you're doing on a daily basis. So let's just, for example, if you're a mother and you passed over and your kids are struggling or they're having a hard time or they're acting out or whatever, you're still aware of all of that. No, those things don't go away. You don't cross over to the other side and you magically forget about your family. You're still a parent, or you're still trying to undo some of the things that you may not have done here in life. So part of the journey of the other side is to still help the living. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think that once you're gone, you're on the other side and you have to fend for yourself. And the other side is able to interfere with three things: people, places, things. So that's what they can operate within our lives. And what they do that on a daily basis. They put people in our lives, why it's relationships, or they take them out of our lives. They put us in certain places at particular times in order for us to get the results that we like. And then the things that are in our life. So either we require them or they're destructive in our life: alcohol, drugs, whatever the situation may be.
So Phil, so we can talk to the other side, just let's say in prayer. Like saying
Yes.
hello to a father, a mother, a best friend, and just say, "Oh, dear God, can you do this? Dear Sarah, can you do this for me?" Right?
Yes, absolutely. So, and I often encourage people to ask the other side for help. I do a show on Thursday nights, every Thursday night on my Facebook page, which is Phil Quinn Medium Life Guide. And that show, we talk about what the other side happens. And I tell everyone, don't be afraid to speak out loud. Don't be afraid to ask the other side for help. And most importantly, don't be afraid to put your desires and wishes out there because that's what they're here to do. However, they can't do it for you. If you're willing to go out and take on the challenge, the other side will assist you. But they can't make us do something. They can't interfere with free will. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is why isn't my family doing this for me? Well, because we come here with our own contract that we have to get through.
So, how does our contract that we have to get through and what we think our desire is or our desire, how does that work with the other side?
So before we come here, we design a contract, and typically we reincarnate in groups, soul groups. So either with our parents, with our siblings, whoever it's going to be. But before Phil came here, before you came here, you decided that you were going to create a contract. Now, a lot of people think that I came here to be a medium, and yes, that may be part of my contract as you being a radio host and so on and so forth, an author, and all these wonderful things that you've done. That's a piece of the contract. Okay. So that would be here. And then over here, let's just say you had a fear of public speaking. Let's just say over here, you had a fear of relationships over here. So through those, you're going to have to overcome certain hurdles that you have set up for yourself in your lifetime on the other side. And you say, I didn't master them on the previous lifetime. Let me try them here. As we evolve through these and master these things, that's what elevates the soul. So the main reason we come to earth is not for a job. It's for knowledge. Where the soul is a sponge. It comes here to absorb as much information as possible and to leave the earth a little bit better than we found it, hopefully.
You know, Phil, I've had a lot of people on my show in the past. I've come in contact with a lot of, you know, intuits, psychics, mediums, whatever. You're a very good teacher,
Thank you.
aren't you?
I try, yes. I try to look at the aspect of, you know, I'm more than just a medium, meaning that as we were just talking before, and you had a personal loss, and your friend had come through, and she was explaining her passing to us, and you can share that story if you so choose. I don't talk about people's personal lives, but the other side comes through more than just to let you know that they're here. They're here to say, hey, we got to fix something going on here. They've got a problem and we have to address this. And because why it's a friend, why it's a family member, no matter who it, or a guide, we all have guides and angels, they're coming through and saying, listen, let's get back on track. Let's get our contract fulfilled because that's the only reason you're here. You're going to get to the other side and you want to be able to check off, did it, or didn't. You do have the opportunity to sit here and achieve nothing if you so choose. Meaning you could drink away your life or you could overcome the drinking. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that would be a contractual agreement.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So souls have, let's say, reincarnated.
Correct.
So how does, let's say, if my father that I know as my father was my father, but was
Yes.
also somebody else's father in a previous life or somebody's mother in a previous life, how does that work?
So you would have been part of that soul group. You would have been the other person that your mother or father would have been parents to. You would have been sibling to that person, and or you would have met another soul would have said, Marilyn, your folks have X amount to offer me. I need to pass through your household for a journey. Do you mind if I jump in with your soul network? And because as we're all one on the other side, and there's no ego, there's no pride, you're not coming into my house or anything like that, we all say, sure. So that's why sometimes we get siblings that we're extremely close with or people that we're not close with. That's why we have friendships the second we meet them, we instantaneously know that it's karma, that we knew each other on the other side, and other people that just come in and out of our lives.
You are very interesting, Phil.
So that's really the whole purpose of why we would do these things, is because, I mean, it's the only purpose is to evolve. The only purpose is to make the world a little better of a place. It's not to take from it, it's to give to it. And I think a lot of people don't really quite understand that. And that really is the difference between spirituality versus religion. As far as what I've been taught from the other side is, it's about always leaving something behind, or leaving it in a better place that you did when you first found it.
So I want you to tell our audience just a little bit about your history and how you started at 6, because I think this is a really good context for where we're going to go next.
So it's weird because I did not, I grew up in Ireland. So I grew up Irish Catholic. The church dominated all of Ireland back then, back in the day, at least if you were Catholic anyhow. So there was no prospect of being a medium for me. It wasn't even out of the realm. I didn't even allow myself to think of this because, I was taught that if anything outside the church, so on, it's a negative. So anyway, I grew up in Belfast, which is a war zone back in those days. It's calmed down now between Catholics, Protestants, British, the whole 9 yards. And July 29th, 1985, my mother's mother passed away. She went into the hospital. She had had a stroke. And this was on a Monday. I was going to go see her. So I woke up. I'm the youngest of 7 boys. And she's in my bedroom and she looked fantastic. And I said, "Where are you going, Granny?" That's what we call her, Granny. And she says, "I'm going home," because she lived across the way from us. So I thought nothing of it. She opened the door, closed the door. I was in a room filled with bunk beds. There was 4 bunk beds in the room. I went downstairs. My eldest brother was there. I asked where my mother and father were. They said at the hospital. And something very strange happened to me. And this was my first psychic experience. Well, my second after what I just witnessed. My mother came home, and as she came through the back door, I hadn't seen her. I had become hysterical. I had felt grief that I have never experienced, even to this day, in my life. And then when I saw my mother, she says that her mother had died early that morning, but I had just seen her. So in Ireland, we keep the body in the house for 3 days and 3 nights. And on the 3rd day, as my grandmother is being buried, she comes to me again and she says, "Philip, you have this gift. You won't understand what it means right now, but you will as you get older." So the older I got, I was able to see people, but I couldn't hear them. Then I could see them, but I couldn't hear them. And then at 13, I could both see and hear. But I still didn't tell a single soul about this. I never revealed to anybody what I could do until I was around 18. And that actually benefited me, because I didn't have people telling me, "You're seeing things, it's all in your head," which would have squashed my ability. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It makes perfect sense
Yeah.
because,
So by
yeah.
so by my siblings not telling me, it's all in your head, so on and so forth, my gift was allowed to continue to increase, and it also allowed itself to grow, and for me to get comfortable with it, because you're not endowed with being a medium overnight, much like you're not endowed with being a phenomenal writer. You grow into your gifts, you grow into your art. So as the older I got, the more I was able to control my gift. So, and it was a lot of studying over the years, because I wouldn't know what to say, how to say it. And then that's when I got my first guide. So I'll be quiet on that before I confuse everybody.
No, but I've got questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. Number 1 is, so who, and I might have to work backwards
Yeah.
from what you just said. So who helped you learn? Like, was there a person or was it just life?
So there was neither a person nor was it life. My first guide I got when I came to United States, and his name was Teddy. It's very interesting about this, and I keep my personal life personal, but whatever. So being the youngest of all the boys, I knew I was different from everybody. Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Oh great, I'm gay." So my first guide happened to be gay. He was dead. So on and so forth. And I didn't know, but he was preparing me how to help society. This was back in the time before anybody could even say that they were gay. Do you see what I'm saying? I was only a 9th grader. So Teddy's job taught me what a psychic was. He taught me what a medium was. He taught me all the basics of spirituality. But most importantly, he was the most solid person, solid soul in my life that only I could see. So Marilyn, for the most part, I thought I was nuts until I had to do my first reading. That's when everything changed.
I understand that. But let's explain how you felt when you did your first reading.
Terrified. So I had somebody that came to me and they asked me after I did the reading, they said, Phil, I wish I had brought this picture with me, but we can do this at another date. But she said, Phil, how do you get your information? And Teddy said to me, Phil, again, this is my spirit guide for anybody that's tuning in. He gave me this information about her, and I will never forget it. Her name was Adele. She was beautiful. She had long blonde hair, so on and so forth. And he said, where'd you get this information? I said, oh, it comes from my guide. His name's Teddy. She said, where did he live? And I said, Rhode Island. And she asked me about his background and his life and so on and so forth. And I told her, and she reaches into her purse, Marilyn, you're going to need to see your face for this. And she pulls out a picture of him. And that's how I knew I wasn't nuts. That was her best friend. They were friends for life. My guide put me in path with her and everything that we had shared. And he had told her, I have pictures. I'll bring them next time. I'll even send you to him. You can put them up.
Oh, I would love to.
Of what he looked like. He worked for People magazine. He died, early on, blah, blah, blah. And they were best friends. And it was that moment that I knew that I was not crazy.
So has he come to ongoing? Does he come to you throughout your life?
After a while, after I hit I think I was 20, I got my second guide, and that's my current guide, and his name is Isaac. So a lot of mediums don't have guides. They don't work with them. They don't use them. But for whatever reason, I had to have a guide. I needed a guide because the amount of work that I was doing, and not to pat myself in the back, but I needed somebody with me to break this down, because souls are nervous coming through. They're frightened, particularly if they're young, particularly if they die in an accident, particularly if they have a sudden death. They're afraid, they don't know what to do. So Isaac's job was to help bring them through, to help ease them. So you come in, I'm here in my office right now. You come into the office, you're nervous. Isaac will help ease your energy and then ease the soul's energy that are coming through.
So this is great. So
I know
it's great. Well, I love. First of all, I love your energy and how you are exploring this with us and explaining it. But I also love how you're taking it away from your ego. I understand.
Yes.
I understand that completely, because
I tell people I'm a vessel. That's all.
Yeah. So I am a tool.
Yes,
That's what I am. I am a listening. I listen. I'm tuned in.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that's listening to this interview, and for no way, shape, and form, I'm merely a pipe, and I'm respectful of that the other side chose me to be the vessel, and I treat it with the utmost respect, but not for a second do I think that I did this. I did not teach myself this. I didn't go out this. What I did was, and as you just said, was I listened. The information was being brought to me, and I listened. I didn't reject it. I didn't run away from it. I listened. And every single human being on this planet gets guidance on a daily basis. The only difference between me, you, and them is who's listening versus who's not listening.
Right. Yes, I tell on my website, I say, listen with me, listen with Marilyn, because I am a tool. I'm not. I'm use me to help you listen, but we're listening together and processing it together.
Absolutely. And, and as I tell people, and I know this is a format that people find very strange, but energetically, we are all one. If we take away the physical shell and we just look at the soul, we're all one. We're all here to help each other. It's when the ego gets involved and pride gets involved, this is when things become a little complicated. So when I turned around, 18, I started doing my first readings. And then when I had Isaac, when I got Isaac when I was turning 21, and how I got Isaac, and I had mentioned before that when I came out, before I came out, everybody, as I am right now telling you my personal life, I was with a woman for 7 years, and she had gone to work, and I could hear this thumping, Marilyn, going on downstairs in my living room. And I had a very large Rottweiler at the time, and I thought it odd that the dog was not barking, because anyone that knows Rottweilers, they're very sensitive to sound. So I get up and I go downstairs, and there's this large man standing in my living room. And I said to myself, what are you doing here? Now, I knew I was the only one that could see him. And he says, I'm your new guide. My name is Isaac. I'll see you Monday morning. This was on a Friday. But just to go backwards a little bit, someone said to me, hey, Phil, I'm going to go have a reading done by this lady down the street. Do you want to come with me? And I'm like, yeah, what the hell? I was kind of arrogant. I was young, yada, yada, yada. So I go in, I have the reading done. And she told me 3 days before this here, there's a man standing behind you. And he looks very large. She told me what he was wearing, yada, all of these things. Well, Teddy was only 5'5". My guide's very, he was short, he was little, he's extremely flamboyant. He had nothing to do with what Isaac said. And then fast forward to the next day, there Isaac's standing. Isaac's Icelandic, and he's been with me, like I said, since I was 20, and he has handled my career up until this point. How I do readings, how I introduce myself, everything that you see today has been at the hands of Isaac.
Interesting. So can you so going back again into your life, you said that at a certain age you could do this, at a certain age you can do that, and then it kind of all came together. Can you just tell us that one more time?
So at a certain age, so as I was growing up from 6 years old when I first got my gift after my grandmother passed, I was starting to be able to see things. And the biggest thing that I was able to see was when people would touch me, Marilyn, I would start getting images of their life. And again, I was a kid, I couldn't control this this gift. So, and I would start getting flashes about people they lost, or people that that were still living, or that we were having arguments with, and things like that. Then I get older, and I moved to United States when I turned 13, and I go to high school here. And all through high school, I would be sitting, there would be an empty chair next to me, and there'd be somebody sitting in it. And I knew the person has passed, because the other side doesn't do one thing that humans do, and that's how you can tell if someone's dead or alive. Do you know what it is?
No.
Blink. Souls do not blink. They have no eyes to lubricate. That's how you can tell if it's a soul or if it's someone there. The reason why people ask me, Phil, why did that matter? Because I would be driving down the road and I would see somebody there. I didn't know if they were hitchhiking or what. The moment I could see their eyes, I could tell they died there or if they were living. Because there was a time in the beginning I couldn't tell the difference. It's not like a soul comes through with this glaring light around them. They look just like you and I. The only difference is when they pass over all the way, they go back to their pure form. So there's no flaws, there's no scars, there's no nothing. But when they're earthbound, when they come through to me, I see them. So if someone shoots themselves, I see the gunshot wound. If someone hangs themselves, I would see the marks. If someone is murdered, I would see the puncture wound. So it's and then they go back to their original form. So the older I got, Teddy started showing me how to control the energy in the room, on how to bring that soul through so that I could ground them and keep them in the room to keep the information going to my clients who are sitting here.
Okay. So now, before we actually went live,
Yes, ma'am.
The room was filling up with people where
Yes.
we are in the studio. So can you see, or any?
Let me just tell you what happened before we went live.
Okay.
And I'll just give you my quick little spiel of how this typically works for me. I've said 1,000 times.
But before you say anything, I just want to tell everyone, when he was doing this, I could feel the truth in what he was saying, and tears were about to roll out of my eyes. Just so you all know this. All right, go ahead.
And a lot of people don't know that Phil was not prepared for this interview. So, and it was by the grace of God, we were able to work this all out. But typically what happens is, and again, because we're Skype here and I can focus on Marilyn, so it's easy. Typically what happens is people you've lost will come in. And as they come through, I repeat everything that they say. I have no control over what they say or how long they stay for. In the beginning, the only thing I have you say is yes or no. I'll ask, do you understand? You say yes or no. And then when they're done talking, you can ask questions of them. And then in the beginning, I scribble. I don't know why, but it helps me hear the other side. It kind of drowns out all the noise. So what happened was, when we were sitting here talking, there was a woman that pops in, and she looked like she was in her, well, again, everyone's in their 30s on the other side. But she comes through to Marilyn. I knew it was for somebody in the room, and she kept pointing to her chest. And she said that she had breast cancer. She then told me, I'm looking at this because I can hear her again. I don't mean to look away from the screen. She says that she went from remission from breast cancer, and then it metastasized and ended up taking her life. But she told me that she was not a relative of yours, but a friend. So why is that important that I discern between relative and friend? There's an energetic link. That's how I can tell if it's a blood relative or it's a friend of yours. Go ahead. You can tell the rest of the story if you like, Marilyn.
So I asked Phil, and we were getting into it a little bit more, and I realized that based on what he had just said, that my friend Debbie, and many of you that have watched this show before or may watch the Health In show know that Debbie Bruck was a host here and my very, very, very good friend. And she had died of breast cancer. She died of cancer from breast cancer. And she, so when he was talking, she's the one.
I don't know if you, I can see her right behind. So that would be Marilyn's left shoulder, depending on the way the camera is. So she just stands behind her, touching her left shoulder. So, and what she's saying to me, so you're probably all wondering, well, Phil, if you're via Skype, how can you hear her? So the soul can project itself back and forth to me. And what I was asking was, she says, Phil, I thought I had this licked. She says, I thought this breast cancer was gone and we were done and we were moving on. And then she says, what I didn't know was, she says, it starts spreading elsewhere. She says, and at that moment, I knew I was done. She says, I wasn't going to beat this again. So she says, for a while, I was doing well. But she says, thank you for all of your assistance. Oh, and she mentioned it's a birthday too. Whose birthday?
Oh my God. Mine is next week.
Yeah, she's saying happy birthday to you. She says, I hope you know how much I love you. She says, I visit you both all the time. Do you get dreams from her still?
Do you say both, meaning I'm none?
Yes.
She says she visits us both all the time.
I know.
Yeah. Do you get dreams of her?
Not really.
She can only be gone a short while. How long has she gone?
Since May. Since May.
So May of last year.
May of 2018.
Okay, so May, July, August. Yeah, so you should start getting messages now. Normally after the first year, they start coming through. But there's a man standing with her too. That's who I'm trying to figure out who that is.
Can I ask you another question, or do you?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
So,
go
do
ahead.
you see her? What she looks like?
So I see her soul right now. I'm going to tell her to come to the room so she can show me what she looks like.
Okay.
So she's figuring out how we're doing this. So she's going to pop over.
And she says she loves us, which sounds like a Debbie, right?
Yes.
Does she give us? Go ahead.
She's a very gentle soul. She's extremely demonstrative.
Yes, she is.
So she is. There's a baby with her too. Do you know whose child that is?
No.
She's holding a little soul. So this would be in her private life in case you think of it later.
And does she have a message for me or for Amnon?
She's telling me to tell you, she says, Phil, tell them I'm at peace. She says, let them know my passing over was she says, I passed over easily. She's saying that because she knew where to go. But she says she fought like hell, Marilyn. She was not ready to go.
No, she wasn't.
She says, Phil, I fought like hell to stay alive. She says, I was not ready to pass. She says, I thought I had another round in me.
And she lived that way too.
Yeah, she says, I really thought I had another round in me. She says, I thought I could lick this second one for a while.
Phil, you're really good.
Yeah, she's thank you, but she's just she's a very sweet soul. She says, Phil, unfortunately, contractually, my time was up.
Right. Right.
So you're in the middle of writing a book now?
Yes.
Yeah. So when's that being finished? Shortly, she says.
Yes.
Yep. So we're going to get that out.
Yes. Does she have any advice?
No, she's helping you write it, she says. And what she means by that is she stands with you and gives you the energy to write it and the thought process. She's not helping you with the words, but she just gives you the motivation.
Okay. Well, then I know who to ask when I'm like having that time, right?
Yeah.
Which is so.
Do you know who had the? I'm sorry, Marilyn. I don't mean to.
No, go ahead.
Again, I'm not sure how many people are in the room with you, but do you know who had brain cancer?
Brain cancer.
It's a male.
Not off the top of my head. No.
And he's standing behind Debbie, just in case you think of it.
Okay. Does that have significance that he's behind Debbie?
Yeah, it means that somebody you both know.
Okay.
Oh, fine. I'll get his name shortly, so I will. Go ahead. You can ask me a question.
Okay, so
I know we're all over the place here.
no,
So I don't
that's
mean
okay, but I
Yeah.
want everybody to realize that this is, natural, and this is what's going on in the moment, and, the interesting thing is I feel this is happening. I feel that this is going on, which is really cool. And this is Phil's process, which is also very cool. So it's really just fresh and real, I wanna say.
Yes, when people go to my website, which is philquinn.com, when they schedule their appointment directly, I don't know who is calling me. You can put in any name you want. So I designed it that way. So therefore, there's complete confidentiality. I know people are concerned about people looking people up. Anybody who knows me in Maryland, just talking to me for the last 20 minutes, knows that I don't have time to look people up. I can barely work Skype as it is right now. But but I do that so anybody that's skeptical, anybody that has doubts, and believe me, guys, I'm a huge skeptic myself. So meaning that it's important that you feel comfortable with who you're working with. And if you're not comfortable with the person, your energy is going to be resistant to letting the other person through. So meaning the souls come through.
So did Debbie have anything to say about what occurred this past weekend?
I'll see if she tells me. Go ahead. You can keep asking questions.
Okay.
I've asked her. I'll just get her answer.
Okay, and then
What they do is, just so you know, guys, once you ask a question, I wait for the response and then they spit it out. So it's kind of like, because she's still over there with you. I'm waiting for her to come by end.
okay. And can you actually see her face?
I see her soul.
Her
So
soul.
I'm waiting for her to come to me.
Okay.
So if she comes into the office, I will see her physical being. Because most times when I do readings, they're standing next to me. In this case, she knows your physical space. So that's where she's comfortable with.
Okay. And then what about my father?
Oh, what about the celebration she just mentioned?
What did she say?
She's just saying, Phil, there was a celebration.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So does somebody get hips? What's the deal here? I see yellow flowers.
Her grandson was bar mitzvahed this weekend.
There you go.
This
Yep.
past
He says,
weekend.
Phil, tell her this. Sorry, I'm not very good with all of these. So yellow flowers normally means celebration to me. So it's so she would have been there and part of all of that.
So I'm sure she was.
Yeah. So bar mitzvah is a big deal, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Oh, is that her?
Yes.
She's beautiful.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. See, now I would only see her at 33. Now everybody would ask me why I see people in their 30s. I don't know why, but most souls go back to being in their 30s.
Oh.
So how
Okay.
old is she in that picture?
Probably 60.
Wow, she looks fabulous.
Yeah,
But
she's
so people go back into their 30s when they cross over to the other side. We're not really sure why that happens, but most people will age to their 30s or go back to their 30s.
Okay. But if anybody has any questions that you want to ask us, please.
Yeah, guys, feel free to
Feel
jump
free.
in.
Yeah,
You can ask any question that you want. So it's
919-518-9773 is our phone right into the studio, and computers, that's plural, the number 2K voice on Skype, and then you can come into our chat, just put your name in there. I am having a blast. So come this is great, and I love me some Philip. So come and join me.
I'm so glad we got to talk.
Yeah, me too. So tell me about my dad. Anything?
So your father, let's see if I can get him back, because he had popped in earlier before. Wait a minute. Now the person we had with dementia, did we figure out who that was?
A man or a woman?
It was a female.
Well, my grandmother, probably.
Yeah, that's your mom's mom?
Yes.
Yeah, she was the first person that popped in. I thought that was your mother. Yes,
Ooh.
I have her here too. And do you know who Marie is, by the way? No, Mary. Mary it was.
Not, do you? What about I'm not? Go ahead.
This is coming from Debbie.
Okay.
There's another woman with her. I think that's your call.
Yeah. Is that somebody calling in?
No, not me.
Hello? You're calling into the Breaking Free show. Hi. Hello?
My name is Debbie.
Your name is Debbie?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Hi, Debbie.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm interested in the life guide concepts that you were talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
and I'm kind of struggling with some personal direction myself. So whatever you can offer as far as people that can help direct me would be helpful.
Oh, wait. Debbie, is your mother passed?
No,
So whose mom is this? Is this
it's
your
a,
mother? Because she's not leaving this room. This is what I'm trying to figure out here.
My mom passed about over 10 years ago.
It's your mother. Okay, I just need to acknowledge her in order to get her because she keeps yelling at me to say it's your mother. So I just need to acknowledge her. Otherwise, she's going to hold up the room.
Okay, Debbie,
Sorry,
hold
Debbie,
on the phone. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Phil.
I didn't mean to ignore you there. If I don't acknowledge his mom, she's going to keep yelling at me and then overwrite what we're trying to do
Okay,
here.
what is she saying?
So
that's fine.
she was yelling to say, "Listen, stop ignoring me and tell him that I'm here and I'm watching him." Meaning that she's just sending her love to him.
Thank you.
Here she is.
Thanks, Mom.
She says she's telling me to tell you she's very proud of you. She's been standing there for a while, so I just needed to get that out of the way.
Thanks.
Debbie, just real quick, where are you feeling stuck right now? Oh, it's a work situation.
Work, career.
Yeah, your
and
work
my
life
kids where I'm
it
supposed
needs
be
to
at.
change big time.
Can I just say
So it
something?
is.
Hold on a second. Debbie,
Yeah.
before you said work, Phil kind of whispered, oh, it's a work thing. And then you
Yeah, it's a
said
work
work.
thing.
I don't think anybody
So-
heard that.
Yeah, Debbie, you have now from what they're showing me here, you have analysis paralysis. So you're overthinking the process of what's going on. You want to make this change, they're saying, but you're terrified. What's the fear that rises for you?
Just failure.
Meaning that if you leave the current job, you won't be able to succeed at the new job?
I don't have any direction to go to. Right now, I just work part-time, has nothing to do with my background.
Yeah.
Wondering if this is something that I should continue or should I move somewhere else? And I don't even know what that somewhere else is.
So just so you know, and I'm here, I hear you. I just wanted to lay low so I can hear you fully. They're saying that moving would be not good for you at this time at all. And they're also telling me, and again, you can argue with me on this here, going full time would not be beneficial to you as well. So which means this isn't necessarily a work issue for you.
Okay.
What they're saying is that this is more emotional for you. So it's that if you went in full time, it's not going to take away there's a major loneliness aspect. What's causing that?
Kids going off to college, husband traveling a lot.
Yep. So you're feeling empty nest.
Yes.
Yes, you're feeling empty nest. You're feeling alone. But this is why they're telling me to tell you not to move, because it's this is going to pass. But the biggest thing here is if you rush this here while you're in pain, you'll make a mistake. You won't make something that you're going to be happy with.
Gotcha.
So you keep your feet grounded. You let this play out, but don't go making any major jumps right now, because when we're in fear and we make decisions, it often doesn't work out the way that we want it. And hey, who knows? You may like the kids being out of the house. You know, I mean, well, this is a perfect opportunity where we self-discover. This happens to many people. After you've raised your children and you're sending them off to school, the next question is, I have no purpose. You certainly do have purpose, because you're not done parenting. You're never done parenting. But what you do get is the luxury to go out and discover what would interest you. That doesn't mean necessarily for monetary reasons. It just means psychological, emotional reasons where you can better yourself and ground yourself. As I said at the beginning of this, we did not come here to work. We came here to grow and to learn.
What kind of knowledge should I pursue so I can contribute?
So what we do in that aspect of it is we go into what interests you. See, the thing from what I'm being shown is you've done a lot. You've done a lot with your life. Now you need to say to yourself, I need to give myself permission to do things that I enjoy, but not things that I need to do. Because they're not showing me a need.
Phil, now let me ask you something. And I know you're
Yes.
a little limited here because we're on the air and, and you're trying to do this. Is this the kind of thing that you would do in a in more depth in a private session?
Yeah, I'm reluctant, and you can see why. I'm very reluctant to share people's personal information
Okay.
on a setting like this because it gets very, very deep. It gets very personal. And it's anytime we have an open call, I always tell people, listen, if you want to talk, you call me and we can talk. But unless you want your stuff aired, that's totally up to you. Even when I do my Facebook Lives on Thursday nights, people ask me questions, I always preface it with that this is your private life. If you want this out, then you can. But if you prefer this behind closed doors, then you just give me a call. And
I
second,
understand, and I think I might just do that just for time.
well, I
purposes
can tell
and
there's other
respect.
things going on that I don't want to say right now. I'm new to this show, so I don't want to give myself a bad rep. But about things that are going on in your private life that they're telling me not to discuss. Phil, why would the other side say that? Because it's not for everybody's ears. Some people are
Right.
not ready to hear it, but most importantly, it's your life, it's your privacy. The other side will never come through, even in the groups that I do here on Friday nights, guys. If it's personal, they never say it out loud in front of other people. I will pull you aside and say, look, just so you know, your family said blah, 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 but I didn't want to say it personally in front of everybody else.
And let me also say something, Debbie. I think sometimes when you have that one-on-one conversation with, let's say, Philip, the messages that he's giving you has far more meaning when it's just you and him and it's the focus of the energy is just between what you're
Yes.
hearing and what they're telling you, as opposed to in this arena. I'm
Yes.
having a moment with myself, but I think I'm feeling also for you that it would be a better message in a more in a more in a moment that was more just about you.
Yeah, intimate.
Right.
Does that intimate? That's the word. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes, most definitely.
So
All right, then. Thank you very much, and I'll get in contact with you then, Phil.
Thank you, Debbie. Debbie, take it easy. You have nothing to fear.
Okay, thank you.
You have nothing to fear.
that was really great, and the fact that her name is Debbie. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Does
You
that
have
tell
nothing
you
to-
anything?
It does. It tells me that the other side is always working. See, this is the thing that people don't realize. Like when I do my groups here at my office in Connecticut on Friday nights, I keep the groups small because I want to be able to read everybody. So, and a lot of people ask me, Phil, why don't you do huge groups? Well, I don't want 100 people in a room and I read 5. What good is that? I mean, it's just, that's not what I'm about. My job is to bring people closure. But what happens in groups, Marilyn, is fascinating, is you have 8 total strangers. And one way or another, by the end of the night, they all relate to each other. They've all had similar traumas. Now, why is that? It's because the other side paired them all together without them even knowing it was going to happen.
So they're one of
Because-
those groups that you talked
Yes,
about.
because my Friday night groups are here. Let's just say on a Friday night, you decided to get a ticket and another stranger did, and you two are coming because you're unsure about this. It's very likely you had similar traumas. And I find this where people have all lost children. They've never known each other, but they've had similar traumas. And now they have a different bond. And it blows my mind that it's not like people are coming in on a Friday night group and they all know each other. These are all complete strangers.
And I believe
And that's how the other side works.
Right. I believe that because I've had that experience with running
Yes.
doing a group thing myself. So I know that you are speaking the truth. No question.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and it's also a beautiful experience.
Right. And then everybody's sharing something that has meaning for somebody else, and it's part of their journey and part of the message from the other side.
The other side, and again, the purpose of the other side, no matter what religion you are, the soul's primary purpose is to get us through our path and what we're trying to do here. It's to get us through why we came to Earth. And if we listen, we can get endless help.
Endless.
And what I mean by endless is, yes, we'll have to do the legwork, but they will always point you north.
So I don't know if do you feel comfortable sharing what you charge?
Oh yeah, I can tell you my fee.
Okay.
So my fee for the hour is $300. My fee for the half hour is $175. My groups are 75 that I do here on Friday nights. Obviously, unless you live in Connecticut, you can't do that. And then my group for 3 or more people is 125 a person.
Okay.
I haven't changed my rates. I couldn't tell you how long. Meaning that I'm not here, and I know this sounds a little weird, and I probably shouldn't even say this here. I never got into this for money. I got into this because my heart absolutely told me this is where I belonged. I belonged in helping people. I belonged in teaching people. But most importantly, I didn't want to get to the other side and say I was afraid of my gift. And that goes for all of you out there, no matter what your talent is, artists, writing, painting, you name it, is that I didn't want to get to the other side and say I ran away from my gift because I was afraid of what other people would think.
Well, let me ask you this next question. I've spoken to many people in previously, a lot of people who will have people appear who they're scared of. And they'll say, well, if you're not here in my best interest or in the best interest of my work or this planet, go away. Do you have that happening to you?
So I don't get souls that I'm afraid of, number one. And secondly, they wouldn't pop in unless they're coming through with a message. What does happen is in my readings, and again, difficult topic here, is people that have violated other people on earth will come in trying to make an amends, Marilyn, and it's very difficult for the person to receive that information. So I often say to them, so and so is here, and the person sitting in for the reading, and they'll say they're coming here to talk about what they did to you as a child. And now that person would say, why the hell would he come through? Because they've gone through the soul review. The soul review is a big deal on the other side, and they realize what they've done. So what they're trying to do is correct from the other side what they've done. Now, it doesn't have to be as severe as that, but it can be as much as a father not paying a daughter attention. It can be that a mother was just absent. It can be whatever it is. And they're like, I had no good relationship with these people. Why are they coming through? The soul review allows you to go through the process when you get to the other side of what you did and what you didn't do. And you have to relive that. You have to look after that. And then once you see what you may have failed at, you don't come back to earth. You're working from the other side to try and help the people that you've either harmed or that are still living.
You know what I like about you, Philip, is I can tell, and I'm sure my audience can as well. You know, we know when we hear something that's not hype. We know when we
Yes.
hear something, whether we know about it or not. Like I often say, I am not a jeweler, but if I see somebody wearing real gorgeous pearls, I can tell by looking at that pearl that it's magnificent and it's real, it's not fake. I'm not a jeweler. I don't even have good eyes, but
Yeah.
there's something about it that I can tell.
You know, it's funny that you bring this up. That's what I wanted to be,
What?
was a jewelry designer.
Really?
I swear to God.
Isn't that funny?
I don't wear all my jewelry, but I wanted to be a jewelry designer, and this is where the universe took me. And that's why it's so funny, is that we have this rule, and it takes us down there. I don't mean to cut you
No,
off,
it's okay.
but I see exactly what you're saying. Is like, as soon as I saw a picture of you, and Greg says, you want to do the interview, I immediately said yes.
Why?
Because my heart told me that you were sincere, you were real, that you cared about people.
Thank you.
You cared about people. And that's the only thing I'm interested with everyone, is if I only want to help people who care. I have no interest in doing 1,000-person event because I can't help them all.
Well,
So the only
yeah.
thing it does is line my pockets, but it doesn't do anything else for the other person. My problem is I want to help as many people as possible.
And I feel the same way. And when I hear you speak about the things that you speak about and that you're connecting, the information that you're bringing forth is really fine information. It's like, it's not just intelligent, it's fine information.
Oh, thank you.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. I mean, and again, I listen very well to the other side. And what I mean by that is, if Isaac tells me to turn left, I turn left. I don't question it. And why is that? I've learned over time that turning right enough times, meaning not listening to my gut, has given me a lot of burns. So I've also learned the hard way.
Well,
The one thing that I tell
yeah.
people is, your gut, no matter how obnoxious and profound it seems, it will never lie.
So,
Never.
I want you to know something also. that before all of this we started having this conversation, I think about Debbie, and you
Yes.
mentioned that your guide's name was Isaac.
Yes.
That is Debbie's son's name.
No way.
Yeah,
See?
absolutely.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
weird. It is
Yeah,
weird.
and it's funny. I don't talk about Isaac very often. I again, we all have some sort of personal life we try to keep to ourselves, and mostly because how would I describe this 6'6" looking Icelandic, man in my life? And I mean, I've looked at worse things, believe me, but it's you know what I mean. But he's beautiful. But it's he's the first person I see in the morning, and the last person I see at night.
Okay.
I always tell Jasper that, and he hates it, but it's true. Jasper's my fiance, my partner.
Well, this gets better
So
and better.
Jasper does Thursday nights with me. For anybody that tunes in, Jasper reads the questions. I'm on camera, so Jasper helps me very much with all of that for anybody that wants to tune in. And much like this radio show right now. But if
So-
you hear this little voice in the background, that's Jasper.
So can you give your contact information again for our
Yeah,
audience?
so my contact information, the easiest way to get a hold of me is go directly to philquinn.com. All my information is right there as far as scheduling appointments, my fees, how I got started, so on and so forth. You'll see reviews. You can go on Facebook. You can do all of those things. You can ask me any question that you guys like. You can write in. You can send us an email. You don't have to immediately book your appointment, whatever you want to do. I tell people that if they do want a slot, put your name in, because the next day it will be gone. It's just that simple. But again, if you want me, it's philquinn.com. And for anybody who's just joining us now or starting to listen to us now, primarily the reason why people reach out to me is because they've had losses in their life, family members, friends, whoever it is, souls that have passed over. They give direct information to me about what's going on in your life, and I repeat it back to you. So I also record the session for people, and I don't know if any medium does that anymore. So it's recorded digitally on my phone and through Dropbox, and then I send it right over to the person's email. So that way they don't have to worry about taking notes and forgetting things, because you go into psychic amnesia. It's like all of this information's being thrown at you and you don't realize it. But when you and I get off the phone, Marilyn, you're going to be like, that's who that was. Because when you're having a reading, you're immediately thinking off the person that you lost, one person or two people. But if you were close with your best friend's mother, that person will come through. There's so many people that come in. It's not just one individual.
So is there anything else that you can tell me about any of my family members or friends, or anything else that you can share?
I was asking Debbie, is everything straight with you on your end, as far as, is there anything that you need to change? Is there anything you need to change with the book? Is there any change that you need to change with the business? She said everything is in flying colors. I also asked about your health, and you both are good.
Thank God, because I got a lot of work to do.
Well, I was asking her, is there anything that you need to be, because again, she says, Phil, this was a very hard transition for me. Very, very hard. She says, Phil, maybe my death felt a little different. She says, but I had a lot to live for. And it was very, very, she says, it was very hard letting go.
It was, and I was there at the moment she did, and it was very hard.
She says, Phil, my body gave up. I did not give up. She says, I had to be kicked out of that body because I wanted so desperately to survive.
Yeah, I can't help but say this again to everybody out there. This is so amazing how Phil is exploring this, explaining this, because he would have no idea. And these are things that they're profound. They're not just black and white kind of things. These are like the essence of something. And that is something that isn't usually what you normally hear.
Right.
I know what he's talking about. You may not know, but I promise you what he's talking about is an essence of something that was true. That is true.
And it's funny as you say that, because I have people calling me up, never knowing what to expect. And I've been in the office. I'm in my office right now. And they're like, I didn't expect this. I never knew this was going to happen, or I didn't know that you were going to know this information about what took place early on in my life. And now, why would they bring up trauma? That's another question that people ask me. Why would the other side bring up trauma? Because their job is to help you get through the trauma, because the trauma is what keeps us stuck in life and stops us from moving forward. So I'm doing an event. I'm doing Facebook Live it's on February. It's called Fearless February. So it'll be every Thursday night for the month of February. And we're going to talk about what the other side has taught me about how to overcome our fears and how to push through those fears. And Marilyn, as you know, we all have fears. You know, you can have a fear of writing, writer's block, reading, all of these things. But if we don't deal with our traumas, we really can't live our life to the fullest potential.
So how would somebody find your Facebook Live?
So if you want my Facebook Live, you look up Phil Quinn Medium Life Guide, or just type in Phil Quinn Medium, and I'm going to pop up. You like my page, and I will pop up every Thursday night. If you don't like the page, you know exactly where to go to at 8 o'clock. Also, there's a very big community in there, and people also will watch it the day after. I have a YouTube page, I believe, and it's called Phil Quinn. I say I believe because I know Greg set it up, so all my other videos go there. And that's where I am. And my primary purpose for being here is to bring closure to people's lives.
That's perfect. So
that's why I'm here. Is I want to help bring you closure. And I'm a kind of one and done type of thing, Marilyn. So what I mean by that is people don't necessarily reach out to me over many times. And the main reason for that is the way I look at it is I get 1 hour with you. 1 hour to change your life. So that's my whole goal. I'm a huge opponent of therapy. I'm a huge opponent of self-help, but I get one opportunity to take everything that's happened in your life and condense it into a path that you're able to go down and be successful on with the help of your family members.
oh, you and I have to have more talks.
Yes, and the reason why I break it into an hour, or when I tell people that, is because I don't need you. If I can fix your life in an hour and get you back on that, then this is the path that we're going down. But I don't necessarily need to see people over and over again. But definitely, I always tell people that therapy helps, talking helps. A cup of coffee with someone can change your path in life.
Right, because they're giving you a message.
Yeah.
So hold on one second. So as you heard Phil mentioned early on that I am writing a series of books. So here are the
Yes.
two that are already published. In Just One Afternoon, Listening to the Hearts of Men, which shares the emotional journey that men are going through. And this is through the eyes and hearts of 22 men that I interviewed. They share everything. And then the next book was In Just One Afternoon, Listening to the Hearts of Twins, which is a wonderful anthology of stories about sibling rivalry, conflict, relationship, parenting. Twins know that. The two that I'm working on now is In Just One Afternoon, Listening to the Hearts of Millennials, and In Just One Afternoon, Listening to the Hearts of drug addicts that are surviving drug
Amen.
addiction. Thank you.
Amen. 12 years sober.
Well, then you're going to let me interview you again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yesterday, Marilyn. Yesterday.
Yesterday, for what? Drugs?
12 years. Drugs and alcohol.
Okay, so you and I will talk about that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Drugs and alcohol, ladies and gentlemen. I am in a human body.
Yesterday, 12 years?
I too suffer like everyone else.
12 years yesterday.
12 years yesterday. Yep.
Okay, so Phil, my mouth's going dry. I'm so excited.
Yeah, 12
I
years.
had a
I
drink.
know, it's hard to believe 12
It's
years.
hard to so if anyone else has, so family members as well. So if anybody has a story of surviving, having trouble
Yes.
surviving, anything like that, please reach out to me at Marilyn@MarilynShannon.com. So these are the two that I'm working on currently.
Please do. And Marilyn, I
yeah.
want to just jump in on the addiction thing and alcohol thing.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I can do it, anybody can do this. It was not easy, but it was the best thing I ever did in my life. The best thing I ever did. The day that I stopped drinking and drugging, nothing bad ever happened to me again.
So so we're almost out of time.
Yes.
So will you come back again?
I absolutely will.
Okay, good.
Absolutely,
Good.
because we're not done talking.
No.
And,
I think we
and
have
I would
work to
love-
do. Huh?
Yeah, there's so much more that we can get out there, and it is an epidemic, and people have a lot of shame associated with certain things, and I would love to discuss it with people again, because as a life guide, I've no problem. I put myself out there because I've been through it, and I don't sit here pretending that I haven't suffered human emotion.
So I took clients all the time in my coaching practice, Phil, especially new clients, that I sit in my chair ethically because I've had a life.
Yes.
Not because I sit there from having no experience. I was plopped in my chair from the universe because I have had lots of different experiences. Not addiction in that regard,
Yep.
but other types of addiction, I guess you can say.
Yeah,
So we have
and
work to do together,
we certainly do.
don't we? Yeah, I really
We
feel that
certainly
way.
do.
So with that, we are out of time. It's been a pleasure being with Phil. Thank you so much. You're an angel.
You're very welcome. And I just want to say one last thing.
Yeah.
I've just noticed that this tapestry behind me,
Yeah.
I just want to let you all know it's a tapestry. It's called The Lady and the Unicorn.
Okay.
So it's it hangs in the Louvre, and it was a gift from a client. She actually made it.
Wow.
So it's a huge rug, and it was a gift from her. She gave it to me, and she was an elderly woman with no children. But I just noticed that the dog was in the background, and I said,
Well.
"Oh, I better explain that what it is." So,
Well,
guys, thank you
thank
for
you.
everything.
Thank
If you
you.
need anything, please visit philquinn.com. Marilyn, I'm sure you and I will be in contact
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely.
And it was a pleasure having you on the show. I'm so glad we got to work all of those things out.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Thank you all of you for being here. And we will see you next week. If I can be of any service to you, let me know. Marilyn at MarilynShannon.com. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. God bless.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.